Hi, fine people of Patreon. I have a video idea I want to run by you to make sure that it's not crazy. So if I seem a little tired, that's because I am. I got up well before the crack of dawn. I'm actually rather disappointed in the outcome here because I wanted to do a test run of the video idea, and it was convenient because I needed to. My mom came here and I needed to get her to the airport because she's flying out to see my brother for about a week. And her flight out of O'Hare left at, actually it's like leaving right now, which is about 7:30. And it's snowing, like snowing. First significant snow of the year. And of course it started snowing like right when we needed to leave. So we left very early. Turned out the roads were fine. But anyway, so we left at like 4:50 or just about 5. So I've been up since about 4 in the morning. So yay. And I have to stay up because at 10:30 I need to get the car to the dealership, the Bolt actually, to get a few. It has the battery, like it's not a recall, but anyway, we're getting off topic. So what I wanted to show you at O'Hare, I have this idea for a video involving autonomous vehicles, and it would be kind of a opinion piece. And sorry, I got distracted by this. So basically, I feel that we're going about autonomous vehicles in kind of a wrong-headed way. And so basically, currently, we are designing driverless cars to replace all the functions of your eyes, ears, and brain. And neat. But here's the thing, really, to operate a vehicle, there are 3 inputs: steering, accelerator, and brake. So of course, to make it drive by itself is very easy. The problem is we're trying to make the world as it exists now for human eyes, brains, and ears be navigable through a computer. And part of me thinks, why are we bothering? So what I wanted to do was, I'd start the video basically like, I'm going to O'Hare International Airport where they have an operating autonomous vehicle, and then get on the automated terminal shuttle, because O'Hare, like many airports, has an automated shuttle, which is basically a bus on a track, which people get in, there is no driver, and it moves at fairly quick speeds in the cases of O'Hare, because the remote parking is pretty far away, and people trust it. And the reason people trust it is because it's on a defined path that it cannot leave from, and it's separated from other activities. So it's elevated, pedestrians cannot get on the track. So A, it's on a track, it will not deviate from that track because it cannot deviate from that track. And B, it, pardon me, I'm tired. And B, it's separated from barriers so no one can get near it. So yeah, that would be kind of disingenuous because I'm saying autonomous vehicle, which it is. It's just not a driverless car. But the point is, here in my mind, I think autonomous vehicles are going to happen. For the most part, I think they're a good thing, but I just think it's kind of, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the way we're doing it makes no sense, because this is my ideal way to handle autonomous vehicles. And part of it comes from technologies that Disney has used that I'm aware of, mainly guide wires. Okay? So, all that we really need to do to make a track that vehicles can follow is to bury a wire in the road surface. And the wire would emit electromagnetic energy, basically, that your car could pick up, and it would know whether or not it's following that wire. And it would, basically have like a sensor plate underneath it. It could see how it's deviating in the wire. And basically, you could, for very little infrastructure cost, I mean, of course, very little, I'm not an expert, but basically you could just add these wires to existing road surfaces. You could even potentially put them on top of road surfaces if they were like embedded in like some sort of really like tough steel that, like, I'm mainly thinking like snow plows, like, but something flat, because it's very small. And the a car could follow it, and then you would know. Then the car would have a path. It would have a predetermined path. And no longer does it have to be concerned about its surroundings. It just has to be concerned with what's in front of it. And it doesn't have to navigate. It doesn't have to navigate obstacles for things like road construction. If there were road construction being done, the path could easily be altered to take vehicles safely away from where the work is being done. And to me, it kind of just seems like, wouldn't guide wires be a pretty decent way to make autonomous vehicles work quickly, easily, and without nearly as much processor and AI stuff going on? I haven't done any research really into this or formulated my thoughts beyond just like, I think this might be an interesting idea. And I was wondering what your thoughts were. So basically, part of me wonders, especially with all the problems that we're dealing with now with autonomous vehicles, because I understand why we're going in this direction, because automakers or whoever wants to make an autonomous vehicle, if they can prove that it works in the world we currently have, they can basically just release it and let it go into the wild. But then who's liable? You know, we have who's liable if there's an accident. In this case, it would be like truly an accident if it was a computer failure or something. Who's liable in those situations? How does car insurance work? What about pedestrian safety? So much just goes up in the air when you consider that. Now, so part of me thinks, why don't we make autonomous vehicles much more dumb and make the infrastructure, it doesn't even need to be that smart, just add some sort of guide wire that defines the path that the vehicle will take. So that way it's not relying on GPS or sensors. Also, a guide wire, here's the thing, I haven't mentioned this, a guide wire in snow, one of the awful things about roads in the US and many other places, why are lane lines white? If it snows, you cannot see them. Genius, genius. Now, they really should be yellow, and I know in the US we use yellow to indicate like, well, solid lines you cannot pass. Yellow typically means that on the other side is traffic going the other direction. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But a guide wire under the snow will still work. And you could easily make it triple redundant so that there's 3 guide wires and 2 of them can fail and everything's still fine. And anyway, so my personal belief is rather than trying to make these autonomous vehicles just work in the framework of eyes, ears, and brains, just make them dumb guided vehicles. Just put them on tracks and shift how we deal with like pedestrians, for example. Like we could easily start this on interstates only because pedestrians cannot be on the interstates, or at least they're not supposed to be. So it's limited access in that sense, and that's really where driverless cars currently have the biggest benefits. So it could start out on interstates where it's just long, long stretches of straight and test it out. Anyway, I don't know. That requires cooperation from governments, and you know how difficult that can be. But what are your thoughts? Am I completely bonkers? Do you think I'm nuts? Is this something, or do you think that this, because, you know, I don't want to just make this video and get thrown under the bus for not thinking these things through. And I'm sure there's things that I'm missing, but to me, it seems like one of the best ways to deal with, not to deal with, but going back to the whole shifting how things work, I think autonomous vehicles should be required to have various indicators that this is an autonomous vehicle, and basically stop trying to make them fit everywhere, make it more like get away from this. So shift pedestrian safety laws. Obviously these vehicles would still be monitoring for things in front of them and hopefully can avoid things with pedestrians, etc. But, you know, part of me wonders, like, maybe we do need to change it so that way if pedestrians get in front of an autonomous vehicle and there's some sort of mistake, the pedestrian's at fault. Now, I know that doesn't work for things like children and blind people and like the mentally handicapped, but I don't know. See, that's where it's like, oh God, what are you thinking? But, you know, like maybe just roads should be changed so that way you can't, like, they're basically barriers into roads. So that way you can't just, you know, just step off the curb into the road. But I don't know if that opens up other cans of worms. So maybe the path we're on makes the most sense. But to me, it almost seems like, why don't we use proven dumb technologies so that way we've required less intelligence in the car and make it more just, you know, foolproof. And to me, like if you going back to Disney and why I thought about this, they have attractions based on guide wire technology. However, 2 less, because the Great Movie Ride and the Universe of Energy are both gone. But these vehicles follow these guide wires. They're driving themselves and they carry people. Of course, they're going slowly and there's people that can intervene if there's a problem, as well as other sensors. But it's like these dumb things have existed from the 80s doing their own thing all the time, not 24/7, but every day for many hours at a time with a little intervention. And why can't that go to cars? The furnace is about to kick on, so it's going to get a little louder in here. But yeah, I'm rambling a bit. I tend to with these videos. So let's try to recap these thoughts. Are we doing autonomous cars correctly? Should we try to make autonomous cars fit within the world that exists now? Or should we spend less effort altering the way the world exists to make autonomous cars operate less without needing quite as many intelligences? Because to me, yeah, we're going to need V2V communication, vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to infrastructure communication. Yes, we're going to need that as well. But I really feel like the vehicle should not be treated as this completely, like, on its own thing. And I guess that's the definition of autonomy. But I feel like rather than using just visual markers to tell it how to go, something like a guide wire might be better. And even then, it doesn't necessarily need to be a guide wire. It could be like RFID pucks. Like if you had pucks spaced every meter or so, then the car would just be like, I see it, I see it, I see it, I see it. In fact, I believe parade routes are done that way at Disney and elsewhere. Rather than using guide wires, that might be cheaper. I don't know. But it just seems to me like, why? I don't get why we're not saying, why don't we basically create a system where autonomous vehicles are separated from other, I don't know if they need to be separated from other vehicles, but certainly separated from pedestrians, and where they're reliant on something that defines their path rather than them figuring out the path for themselves. Because, you know, I just look at, you know, like it snows, you can't see the lane lines anymore. The pavement crumbles, things just get worse. But if there's a guide wire buried 6 inches below, what is that in centimeters? 15 centimeters below, then I think it would be less susceptible to problems like that. I don't know. Part of me is like, is it worth throwing that idea out there? Do you think there's direction to go here? Or do you think I'm crazy? I am crazy slightly, obviously, but, oop. Let me check on, this may be me mama. They're de-icing her plane. Well, hopefully things go well for her because she's not a great traveler. It stresses out a bit. But anyway, yeah. So do you think this is a good... I've asked the same question like 7 times. Do you think the premise makes sense? Do you think it makes sense to be able to look at this autonomous vehicle that currently exists in the road, and in the case of O'Hare in the world, in the case of O'Hare, I think it's been there for like 25 years, and it's just continuously it's taking people back and forth without a driver, but because it's on a track and because it's separated from things, no one bats an eye. So maybe rather than making autonomous vehicles function within the confines of our current human-centered infrastructure, maybe we ought to spend just a little bit of time on infrastructure that can guide the vehicles, so the vehicles don't have to think nearly as much. I don't know. Thoughts would be appreciated. If you think this is a good idea, if you think I'm insane, whatever, just give me a buzz or leave a comment or whatever. You can leave it here on YouTube if you open it in the email, or on Patreon or whatever. Just send me a message. Whatever you would like, I'm all ears. And the LightScribe video, which by the way, this is all the aftermath from, is going public tomorrow. And yeah, that's it. So let me know if I'm crazy. Well, I know I'm crazy. Let me know if there's ideas that you have pertaining to autonomous vehicles and or, you know, whatever, because I'd love to include them. And yeah, see you later.